Okay, you've been waiting for this one, haven't you? Right. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, directed by James Mangold, starring Harrison Ford, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, we'll get to that in a minute, and is about 2.5 hours long. We'll get to that in a minute as well. So, what did I think of it? Now, this film was my most anticipated movie of the year. Last year as well, seeing as how it got delayed a year. Does it hold up? And where does it fall with the other films? Let's talk a little bit about it. Okay, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Now, I've been an Indiana Jones fan all my life. Grew up with him like everybody else. And I also didn't mind Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Yes, it had its problems. It was a bit far-fetched with the aliens. I had no problem with the fridge and the nuclear bomb. But it was a little bit far-fetched in places. So I was really excited that we were getting a new Indiana Jones film. I mean, you can't go wrong again. You can't go wrong. But how would it work with an 80-year-old Harrison Ford? So let's just do the good bits first. Yes, believe it or not, I've divided this video into good and bad. So the good bits first. We've got Harrison Ford. Yes, old Indy. He's old Indy. He's an 80-year-old Indiana Jones. You know, he's feeling the aching bones, the creaks, you know, and it's addressed in the film that he is that age. Also, the young Indiana Jones. I'm not talking about Sean Patrick Flannery, no, or Corey Carrier. I'm talking about the de-aged Indiana Jones that we get in a thrilling chase scene at the beginning of the film, which almost lasts for about half an hour alone. To me, it kind of felt more like the original trilogy. It felt that it should be with the original trilogy. Now, the de-aging of Harrison Ford, on the most part, worked really well. There were moments where there were moments when I was like, that is spot on. That could have been ripped right out of the original trilogy. But there were also moments where it wasn't quite right. And whether it be the movements, the body movements, or whether it be certain angles of the face just didn't look quite right. And also the voice as well, because you're going to be putting an 80-year-old voice on a 40-year-old body. And it's probably not a good idea to do that. So go for minimal dialogue. So that's the good stuff. There was some good chases through the film. Like every Indiana Jones film, you've got to have some really good, exciting chases. And there were some good ones in this. Although a few of them, maybe one or two of them, were a little bit shorter than I thought they would be. They should have really strung them out a little bit more, because they kind of plowing along, it's getting exciting. Then it kind of like switches to another part of the scene. And I feel that they could have gone on a little bit longer. What else is there? The music, John Williams. You can't go wrong with John Williams. That is one of the best things of this film. Now we're going to go on to the things that didn't sit with me, or the things I felt were wrong. And yes, there are negatives in this film. I know what you're saying. You said this is going to be the best film of the year, and I gotta admit, I went into this with really high hopes. And just going by the trailer, to me, the trailer looked fantastic. And on the most part, I was really happy with the film and what we got. But I just want to address some of the... I just want to address some of the downers. I'll leave the two biggest ones to the end. Mads Mikkelsen. Since Indiana Jones started, way back in the 80s, we've had menacing villains. You know, we've had, what was his name? Tolt. You know, the Gestapo bloke with his burnt hand. He was scary as hell. You know, and even in Last Crusade, we had not Julian Glover, but we had the German officer. This is how we say goodbye in Germany, Dr. Jones. I can't remember his name. Yeah, he was actually quite scary as well. You know, he was, he had that scared Nazi vibe to him. Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I never found Irina Spalko, you know, Kate Blanchett, I never found her threatening or scary in any way. And the same with Mads Mikkelsen. He portrayed this as just a character. Just a character along the way, doing his thing. He was never intimidating. He was never scary. And there was never real threat from him. Which is a bit of a disappointment, because I thought, you know, Mads Mikkelsen, holy crap, as the villain, you know, this is going to be something special. He played it safe. Some of the other side characters are okay. There's this young guy. Oh God, I've even forgotten his name now. He's kind of like the short round for this film. He was all right. He didn't really add anything to the film. You've got the henchman, you know, you've got... yeah, you've got a few other characters as well. There's a few other characters that come in. We've got John Rhys-Davies reprising his role as Salah. I think he was there for fandom, just there for the fandom. It didn't really add anything to the story. There's other characters as well, which I won't talk about because spoiler territory. Let's just talk about... First of all, let's talk about the duration of the film. It's 2.5 hours long. This is the longest Indiana Jones film. And I do feel that this was too long. At least half an hour too long. At least get it down to 2 hours and 10 minutes. You know, they did... I won't say there's boring moments, there's dragging moments along the way, but certain parts of the film could have been changed and cut, maybe, to bring the timeline down, because, yeah, 2.5 hours, it's just like they were just pulling it and pulling it and pulling it. And also, all that time in 2.5 hours, it was like you was building up to this massive crescendo, you know, this massive piece, which I'll talk about that in a minute as well. But first of all, I want to address Helena, Phoebe Waller-Bridge. You know, Raiders, we had Marion, who was a great character, you know, a side character for Harrison's Indy. She was lovable, you know, everybody liked her. She was feisty. She could, you know, she could look after herself. Temple of Doom, we had Kate Capshaw. She was really great. You know, she could have been a little bit annoying at times, but it was lovable annoying. And she was also, she was more of a kind of like a damsel in distress, you know, whereas Marion was feisty and could, you know, punch with the best of them. Willie was kind of like, oh, I'm tagging along. Yeah, but she was never annoying. And by the end of Temple of Doom, she was a really good character. Last Crusade, of course, we didn't really have a really strong female side character other than Alison Doody. She was really good. I enjoyed her character, but it was mainly focused on, you know, Sean Connery and Denham Elliott, Marcus along for the journey on that one, and Salah, of course. Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, obviously it was Shia LaBeouf's Mutt, but we also had Karen Allen back, and she was really good in that, you know, in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. She actually had quite a lot to do in the later part of the film. Annoying characters, you know, in that film, Mac, he really annoyed me. In this film, Dial of Destiny, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, I thought, you know, she looks good in the trailer. Is she going to be this new revelation for this film? Is she going to bring a lot of heart? Is she going to bring a lot of adventure and excitement? No. It pains me to say it. She annoyed the fuck out of me. I know a few people have said, okay, they warmed to her character later in the film. She was just annoying for the film. It's like, you know, we're in the 21st century. It's that woke thing coming back again. It's that ticking the box thing. I don't like talking about this. You know, if a female character is good, then a female character should carry a film. But I think for this film, they've pushed this character for the sake of, let's not piss the women off, because this is the 21st century. We can't make her a damsel in distress. Let's make her bossy and boss Indiana Jones around. That's what I got from the film. And yeah, she was really annoying throughout the film. Now, whether or not I actually do warm to her character, maybe on a second viewing, we'll see. I just felt they were pushing her over the top of Harrison Ford and kind of like sidelining him and pushing him to the back. Probably because they want to do spin-off TV shows or spin-off movies with, you know, Helena as the lead character. So yeah, that didn't really work for me. Now let's talk about the ending without spoiling it, of course. The thing with the Indiana Jones films, we've had the big climax. You know, you've got the Ark of the Covenant. Just saying it out loud makes you cold and chills through you, you know, and locking it to the Bible and the Ten Commandments and making it this big religious power of God thing, it gives you chills. The Holy Grail, again, the power that holds. But where do you go from there? I mean, with Crystal Skull, okay, we went with aliens. That was, for a lot of people, far-fetched and just too out there. And if you think that's out there, then wait for this film. Of course, this film follows the adventures of Indy trying to get his hands on the Dial of Destiny. And The Ark of the Covenant is embedded in Raiders of the Lost Ark. The Shankara stones are embedded in Temple of Doom. The Holy Grail is embedded in The Last Crusade. Somewhat the aliens are embedded in Crystal Skull. The ending of this film, you could have plucked it out of a dozen other films. You know, it would fit in with a dozen other films that are out there. The execution of it, the look of it. Difficult to talk about when you can't spoil it. Yeah. But it is, I would say it's even further out there than the aliens. So I don't know if they should have gone in that direction, but what were they left to do? You know, you've covered the Ark, you've covered the Holy Grail. Are there any other religious artifacts that you could have done? I don't know. So they've got to think of something. And the thing with the Dial of Destiny, the actual artifact itself, it never really had this wow factor. It never had this wow factor. And that's a little bit disappointing. So yeah, that's mainly it. That's mostly what I'm going to talk about. So that's my review. This is not the review that I was anticipating doing. You know, I was expecting, my God, this is fucking excellent, best film of the last 20 years. And I think maybe I built my expectations up a little bit too high. Even with James Mangold at the helm and going by the trailer, I was really excited by the trailer. But even with the ending of this film, I kind of feel a little bit underwhelmed with the wow factor. So, yeah. Other than that, though, all in all, I did have fun. It was an enjoyable film. Like I say, it was a half an hour too long. I don't think the characters were flushed out enough. Some of the characters were just there for the sake of being there. There was some continuity problems with the film as well. But I'm happy. I'm happy that we got this. I mean, I will be going to watch it again, and even after several times of watching Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, I like it a little bit more each time. So there are good things to like about this film, but there are also things that I wish they'd done different or gone in a different direction. But it is what it is. Yeah, so there we go. So that's my review of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. If I was to score it on a scale of 1 to 10, of course I was also expecting this to give it a 10 out of 10. I've got to say I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. Yeah, 8.5 out of 10. But maybe, hopefully I'll like it a bit more on another viewing, which I intend to do on IMAX in a couple of days' time. But for me, the worst thing of the film was Phoebe Waller-Bridge's character. I just wish they wouldn't have used that character and excuse to kind of like push a character, if you know what I mean. Yeah. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Like it by giving us some thumbs up. Blah, 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 blah. Don't forget to subscribe, comment and share. See you on the next video very soon. Bye bye.